is up, guys? Welcome back to the Bamcast.
Holla. I was gonna do
Okay,
it.
good start. Good start. If you guys have seen multiples of my episodes with Addie, you know that she's always got a very awkward intro and a very awkward outro,
Yep,
and
you do.
the in between those pretty good usually. So, what's up, Addie? How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
Um, we got a few different things that we kind of want to get through today, but starting out, we're super excited about what we have coming up in, I guess, 2 weeks now. So I want you to
Yeah.
fill kind of people in on the work you've been doing and what we're looking forward to.
So one of our clients, Michael, is going to be competing in summer shredding, which is like September 13th and 14th, I think. He's going to be competing in the transformation division, and we're super excited because when he came to us and we started working together, he was around like 270. We're down to 231, and prior to working with us, he had lost like I think over 100 pounds by himself.
Yeah,
So he's had a really long journey and he's absolutely killed it. And so Baker and I are super excited to be in Houston, get to see him on stage, watch his transformation video, and see like all of that hard work come to fruition. So it'll be a lot of fun. I'm excited.
yeah,
It's technically my
super
first
excited.
competitor, so
hmm Yeah, yeah, it's huge, and there's a lot of opportunity that just comes along with getting up on stage, especially in that division at the Summer Shredding Classic. So this is going to be big for Michael just in general as well because of
Mhm.
all the results that he's achieved and the notoriety that you can kind of achieve by stepping on that stage in particular. And he's been consistent with his content as well. So it a lot of things could go crazy for Michael just by doing this. So we're super excited for him.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. I'm excited because I know like we're digging we're digging these last couple of weeks and we have for like the past 2 weeks, so I know that he's going to be like, thank gosh I get to step on stage and then I get to eat a good meal. So
Mhm.
it'll be a lot of fun for him that weekend for sure. Very memorable. Very
Yeah,
memorable.
we're super excited to celebrate him.
Hmm.
Well, what is new with you? I don't think I mean, you haven't been on in probably 4 or 5 episodes. So it's been about a month of IRL time. Um, I think the last time that we talked to you, you were on the edge between competing, not competing. Tell the people kind of where you're at right now.
Yeah, so after our like I think it was like a 10-week cut, 10-12 week, I don't know, somewhere around there. After that, I honestly was kind of feeling drained, as one does after a cut.
Yeah.
And I kind of just felt like my heart and my mental, like I just wasn't really in it. And I knew that I could keep digging and I would have that physique and be able to step on stage. But mentally, like, last time I stepped on stage and like just over the last couple of years with social media, I feel like I've gone through it mentally. And I just wasn't sure if I was ready to put myself back in that place. And everyone always talks about it, and myself included. I'm a very big advocate for like if you're not mentally there, you
Yeah.
probably shouldn't step on stage because it's a very big commitment. You're spending a lot of money, you're devoting a lot of time and energy into this. And if you're mentally not there, it's not going to be a fun process. It's not going to be enjoyable. You're probably going to hate it up until you step on the stage. And then the stage probably won't be your best friend because you're mentally like, I don't even really want to be here. So
Yep.
I just think with being in that headspace and having that thought process, I just was like, I need to take a step back. I need to just fall in love with it, like enjoy the process. And then I think my goal, like actually legitimately, is to compete at the beginning of next year because I think I will be ready. I'm hoping I will be in that headspace to kind of kickstart the year so that I'm just like, let's go for it, Because the more I delayed
Yeah.
it, I was like, dang. So I just need to get up and get after it after January 1.
Yeah. Well, what are some steps that you have taken or are taking to try and get towards that headspace where you are in love with it again and enjoying every step of the way? Obviously, you're not going to enjoy every step of the way no
Yeah.
matter what, with like a prep especially. But what are steps that you're taking to kind of help get you into the mindset that you feel like you need to be in to take that step?
A few things I've done is like change my environment. I feel like I get a lot of like gym anxiety. I mean, you know me. I don't feel like I'm the most social, the most outgoing person. I'm a lot better than I was like 3, 4, 5 years ago, but I
Yeah.
still like struggle a little bit with it. And I think I was having a lot of anxiety going to the gym. So I switched up my environments. I'm trying to keep that like a regular thing. Like I kind of switch it up, go to new places so that I don't know people. I don't have cameras around. Like I can just, lock in and be good. Um, that's one thing that has like really helped me. And then I kind of feel like I've taken a little bit of a step back from social media. Like I haven't been posting as frequently as I used to. I'm trying to get back onto it. But I kind of like pulled back with content for a second. I'm trying to really focus on like the coaching aspect, like really dive deep into the clients, make sure I'm there for them, making sure
Yep.
they're getting a good experience and providing, I guess, more education, more value, and less like influencer, I guess.
Hmm.
So I feel like that's kind of where I've been at. I am trying to get back onto that because I do enjoy the content. I do enjoy creating it, but I just feel like my priorities are kind of in a different area right now. So I'm just kind of changing things up, and I feel like making the change, like, I mean, changing up your environment, where you're at, like what you're doing definitely does help you kind of sit back and be like, okay, I'm ready to lock back in.
Yeah,
So,
100%. No, it's a big part of it.
yeah.
Is kind of, I think you have a superpower whenever you get to a point where you can just affect your environment no matter where you're at.
Hmm.
I'm not there for sure. I have to like have a lot of things go right, or I have to be in the right kind of season where I'm like ready to just like press no matter the environment.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that's a place that we're all kind of like try to shoot for, is just that like getting to that spot where it doesn't matter. Like I can lock in and do whatever, whenever, and just knock this out. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing as like I was hating lifting and all that stuff whenever we were at just like Gold's Gyms, or whenever we were just working out at our apartment gym, thinking that that could be, and it's a nice apartment gym, and Gold's Gyms have nice equipment, obviously, but like there's just something to be said for even if it's paying like a little bit more per month, having an environment that you can really be excited to go and join in on each day. And that's a big thing that I had to overcome work wise whenever we switched to like working from home, from being in an office, and now we're actually going, I think, back towards an office over the next 30 to 60 days with AR and kind of our team. But it's something that is tough. It's tough, like if you're in an environment that's not necessarily as conducive to like energy or work or effort or intensity as like you'd like it to be. It's tough to create that out of thin air.
Hmm.
So I know exactly what you're kind of talking about.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
rough out here.
Yep. How do you do that with work? I'm curious. What are the things that you or you and Jermaine, since I know you guys are together a good chunk of the time, as far as like your work from home stuff, how do you make sure that you stay on task with that, or stay in the right mindset to work? Because I mean, it's easy rolling out of bed and walking 2 steps and sitting down at the desk, but it's also like equally easy to get out of your chair and roll back into bed. You know what I mean?
It definitely is. I feel like it's just all about like time management. Like I literally first thing I do when I wake up, which I shouldn't. I should like wait and not be on my phone right away. But like immediately I wake up, I'll respond to clients that have like texted me like late that night before because I try to I'm trying so hard to like set boundaries, which is really, really hard when you are like working from home or like working from your phone. So I'll wake up, immediately respond to them, and then I try to set aside, a couple of hours to do like my check-ins, get those done in the morning, and then anything that's like late, rolls in late, late text, whatever it might be, that's when I'll, go to the gym, come back, create content at the gym, and then come back, edit, late check-ins, all that stuff. So I feel like it's more about time management. Like I can work from anywhere. Like I don't care. I will work on the couch, I'll work in a coffee shop, I'll work at my desk. Like it doesn't bother me. Jermaine's
Hmm.
different. He likes kind of like you like that setup. You want to have all your things
Yeah.
right there with you. So he really likes to have his like space and like have like a specific area where he like I'm at my desk. This is what I'm doing when I'm at my desk. And like me, like I don't really care where I work from as long as I have my laptop and like all my things, then I'm good to go. So for me, it's just more so time management and like making sure I stick to that schedule, which I do pretty good Monday through Friday. And then like Saturday, I normally don't check my laptop. And then Sundays, I
Yeah.
have a busy check-in day. So I'm working majority of the day.
Yeah. Makes sense. And I think something that you're talking about earlier, as far as creating content for the purpose of like education and impact versus influencer, I think that's an
Hmm.
interesting thing that a lot of people, probably especially like listeners, struggle with as well. Um, and I know you've struggled with, because we've talked about it quite a few times, of just like the dopamine hits and like effects of creating something that goes viral, even if it's
Yeah.
not for the purpose of education or impact. It's just like because the numbers are cool and it's exciting to see a bunch of likes and exciting to see a bunch of views, versus something that might educate more, might impact more, might actually drive more value and even like, revenue to the business, that isn't going to get the numbers, isn't going to get the reach, isn't going to get the engagement. But like the people that watched it, it actually hit them and then made them take action or do something that's going to impact them for the rest of their lives. And so,
Yeah.
how are you? First of all, I think it's valuable that you're doing that now. But how are you kind of like balancing the need, or like our internal desire to get the numbers and get the dopamine, versus um, just like sticking to that plan of value and education?
Yeah. I think it frustrated me at first. Like, I'll be real. Like, I was kind of like, dang, this sucks. Like, this was a good video. I
Hmm.
edited it, I talked, and I was kind of like, that sucks. Like, a lot of people didn't like align with it. But then I remember, like, at the end of the day, like, I actually enjoy the questions that I get asked on those videos, or like, I enjoy the comments and the engagement that I get in those videos because it feels like a real engagement, not so much like I see this girl on my For You page or my
Yeah,
Instagram and I'm just going to comment something, whether it's nice or
it's not
mean, really
three.
fast. And then,
Yeah, it's not three fire emojis.
right. Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
actual, like, can you explain why B stance RDLs are good or how to do them? Or like, can you
Hmm.
take us through a full day of eating and tell us why you do that in a deficit? Like, those questions I feel like are much more valuable because I'm actually able to share the knowledge, which I do actually like. I want to make like true connections. I don't really want to have kind of what I've had in the past, like just like an audience that's like they know me for the physique, but they don't really know anything about me, like what I'm about, what I know. So I feel like I'm just trying to remember a lot of people know me as this, but I'm trying to reframe that and be known for something completely different, which is just going to take time to kind of rebrand almost.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it'll take time, but it's gonna be way more impactful. Like you're gonna be able to, even if it is less people that you're able to like reach at a time, you're gonna actually make more impact,
Yeah.
and more be able to educate more people, because those people will actually be getting something that they can do, right? That
Yeah.
they can learn, that they can take action on, that's gonna help them.
Hmm.
So I think it's really cool what you're
Yeah.
doing. I think it'll
Yeah.
be
I'm
big
excited.
for you and for us, for
Mhm.
BAM as well.
Yeah. Because we've also done a lot better about like pushing out information on our coaching pages as well, which I think is
Hmm.
helpful to the community that we've built. And just to like, new people visiting our page, they're like, okay, like at least you take something from it. Like that's the goal. Like if you don't have to join the team, you don't have to follow us, you don't have to do anything, but as long as I like we're providing that value and you're getting something from us, so that at the end of the day maybe someone asks you a question or you have a question yourself, like a couple sources that you can go to ask or to look for that information. So I feel like it's a good thing.
Agreed. Definitely agreed.
Mhm.
How have you felt, just kind of catching up on the whole entrepreneurship thing, right? How have you felt? Give me your synopsis, I guess, since you've been an entrepreneur for 2 years now. Give me your synopsis on like how would you describe entrepreneurship in your journey, as far as I'll give you a couple like context containers. I talked to my last guest about like the obsessive kind of nature that you need, and figure it outness that you have to be able to have as an attribute to cope with all the things that you get smacked with every single day as an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
So, how would you describe your experience so far, and what did you expect or didn't you expect that's kind of panned out in different ways since you started it?
I think okay, like it's kind of like I'll never forget this piece of advice whenever I like first left my like well part-time job I guess in college. When I left that, they were like, you're gonna make it or you're not gonna make it. Like you either get backed into that corner and you push back and you come out, or you stay in that corner and then you fail. And that kind of stuck with me because I was like, I mean, that's true. Like in a business, you either like put in the work, you do what you got to do to make it work, or you're not going to go anywhere and you're not going to make any money. You're not going to have any kind of influence. And that's that.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that like really stuck with me, which I like have a true, genuine like love for this. So like I find it really rewarding. So it's really at the end of the day, like I love the clients that I've met. I love the connections that I've made, which I feel like keeps me in it. Um, I don't think I expected like so many people to, I guess a lot of people I feel like don't see us as like business owners.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I don't know how to explain that. But I feel like a lot of people are like, I don't know, some people don't respect it. Some people like don't think it's real. Some people like don't really see us as business owners. So I feel like that's one thing that kind of throws me off.
Give me an example without naming names. Give me an example of what you're talking about.
Like, okay, I don't think that a lot of people like respect your time and they don't really respect your business in a sense. Like I feel like we see that a decent amount sometimes. Like people see us as a person, people see us as people that they can like ghost, that they can
Mm-hmm.
block, that they can shut all their stuff off and just never speak it to us again. I think that that's something I was never prepared for coming into this because I feel like we have, pretty good head on our shoulders. Like we're very, respectful people who would be like, hey, let's have this conversation. Let's kind of talk about this. Let me tell you where my head's at. Um, but you learn in business that a lot of people don't have that. Like a lot of
Yep.
people are just like, bye.
Yep.
Never gonna speak to you again. I don't. So I feel like that's something that like really shocked me. So that's kind of what I mean by like I feel like people don't really respect you as like a business owner or as like a person in this industry, and I'm sure with like any business whatsoever, because people just are like, oh well, it doesn't matter. But in the like grand scheme of things, like it does matter. Like we do see it, we do know, and
Yep.
it does affect us in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. So you're talking about the whole, you wouldn't ask McDonald's, you wouldn't bargain with them and ask, hey, can I pay for this McDouble in 2 weeks actually? Because that's when I get paid. Like you wouldn't hit them with something like that,
Yeah,
And I know exactly what you're talking about. I do think there's a certain size that your business gets to where that is less of a thing. But for a majority of all small businesses, it's very much it's not, I even struggle saying it's like a respect thing, but on one hand, it's good because people love doing business with people more than they do with like large corporations or logos.
yeah,
So we have that advantage in terms of like we feel more accessible, we feel more friendly, we feel like it feels like less of a hurdle or like less of a big scary commitment. It feels less like intimidating to like start the business relationship maybe, but it also because of all of those things, it also doesn't feel like as big of a commitment. It also doesn't feel like as rigid. It also doesn't feel like oh they can wait until XYZ for whatever. um, so I know what you mean. It's something that all people run into, and I also think it's going to change as the coaching industry continues to kind of evolve, and people start to look at coaches more along as like healthcare workers instead
yeah.
of like this luxury optional thing. I think
Mhm.
that's kind of where the industry is headed. Is as more and more coaches build these huge platforms and build these larger companies, I think what coaches really need to be looked at and compared to is like doctors or alternative medicine type of situations, because it's really what coaches end up being is spending the money on a coach or spending the money on somebody that can help you get into better shape is what's
Mm-hmm.
going to help you avoid the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of medical bills that accumulate later on in whether it's you dealing with healthcare complications down the road, whether it's you having to get on specific medications because you didn't take care of yourself. Like that's what I think things are kind of going to evolve into. And once the healthcare system starts to recognize that, that will also significantly help us out as coaches and coaches in the industry as a whole, because
Mm-hmm.
there's no reason right now that it should be so difficult as a coach to get your business recognized as something that people can use insurance for or HSA for. Like
Yeah.
that's a huge problem in the industry. Is like, but again, if they were to allow that, a whole lot more people would have coaches and a whole lot less people would be in hospitals and a whole lot
Mm-hmm.
less people would be on prescription drugs or getting Ozempic or any of these other things. So it's it's a business decision on their end. But I would think that it would benefit insurance companies as a whole because they're having to pay out less later on if people are proactive with it. So I think it's a not to get too like tinfoil hatty, but I think it's like big pharma and big hospital and all that type of stuff. I think it's very much in their favor for this to not be legitimized, but it's very much in the actual individual's favor for this to be a real thing that people are encouraged to spend real money on and do
Mm-hmm.
as quick as they possibly can.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I was listening to an Ed Milet podcast the other day, and he had a doctor on there. I don't remember her name, but they were talking about like it's crazy. Like she went to some event and everything was sponsored by like big food companies, and she
Yep.
was just saying it's insane because like this is like a health event. It's supposed to be, about your health. And then you look around and all the sponsors are Kellogg's or the mac and cheese and whatever else. And she said, like no wonder a lot of people struggle with their health and their diet. No wonder, America is on like a rapid rise in obesity because that's kind of where we're at. So it does suck that coaches, like you said, are kind of in this position, but I do agree. Eventually, more people, and hopefully, there will be more accessibility to coaches to be able to start prioritizing like your health before things like, get bad.
Yeah. Hopefully so.
Hmm.
I really hope so. And I mean, it's estimated by I think 2030, like 75% of the U.S. population is will be obese,
Yeah,
which is
it's crazy.
insane. And that's why I always laugh when people say like there's the online coaching industry or the coaching industry in general is like too saturated. It's like 75% of the population in a few years is going to be like a candidate for somebody that needs your services. So you're
Yeah.
going to tell me there's so many coaches that we can service 75% of the US population? No, not even close. Like the growing demand and people that are kind of going into who needs us versus the amount of people that are sprouting up as coaches every day is not even a comparable number.
Mm-mm.
So it's something that is necessary and needed. Like we need as many people as possible to go into this field and start to help feel reverse that so that we don't hit that number.
Mm.
And we're a long way from that. So
Yeah.
it's insane and it's kind of
It
depressing to
is.
think about. But all we can do is do our portion, our part, and try to impact as many people as possible.
Yep.
So you mentioned kind of like listening to Ed Milet. You mentioned earlier that you've been kind of doing a lot of personal development type stuff. So what does that kind of season of life look like for you? What types of things are you getting into and reading and listening to?
Podcasts have been my like big thing. I mean, this. Like when I started my cut, I think I was listening to like your podcast every single day. Like that was like my cardio material. And then like more recently, I've been getting into a lot of like educational stuff. So just learning more about like the gut, PCOS. I love doing research on female hormonal health. So I've been doing a lot of listening to the podcast, doing the research, reading the books. Right now, I'm reading The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F. I don't want to say the word. But I'm just trying to like kind of tap into like prioritizing my mindset and my knowledge so that I'm like on the continuous journey of learning and improving in any way, shape, or form that I can so that I'm better, but then I can also be better for the people around me and my clients. Um, and I'm actually like really enjoying it. I think I nerd out to Jermaine like multiple times a day, and I'm like, I know you don't care about this, but this is what I learned today. Because
Yeah.
it's fun. It's fun to learn more and to know more, and then be able to like share that information or implement that information. Because obviously we know, I feel like we know quite a bit, and like being a biology major, like I learned a lot about the human body and like the processes that happen, but I didn't learn as much in depth about like specific topics that I'm genuinely interested in. So doing the research and listening to the podcast and stuff has been amazing, I feel like, and I really am enjoying it. Which you've always been a mindset guy and a self-help
Yeah.
book. Like that's always been your thing. So I'm trying to be as good as you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you've if you figure it out, let me know because I am not. I heard this one quote the other day at the event that Mike and I went to in San Diego, where it was this girl. We ended up finding out she's 20 and she's an absolute killer, killer of a business owner and businesswoman. But she was talking about how a few years back she decided that she was just going to read every self development book she could get her hands on. And so it was like she was buying them and she had like a stack like as tall as her bed next to her bed, and every single day she would read like for a few hours, and like her stack of like finished books was like as tall as her bed, sitting next to her bed. And she was like, then I realized though that I was spending all my time reading and thinking about it and not actually doing anything with the knowledge.
Hmm.
And so she was like, so I banned myself from reading self-development books, and I banned myself from listening to self-development podcasts that were like motivational, and motivational YouTube as well. And she was like, and I actually just started doing stuff, and then that's when the results came for me.
Yeah.
And I feel like I personally I need to have a balance of the two, because I am definitely my best self whenever I'm listening to things that spark my creativity.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Because it's so
Yeah.
easy, especially for like my schedule in particular. I'm looking at this week, I probably have 40 calls on the schedule.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so for me, it's like I get just immersed in my day to day and like checking off my boxes, showing up to my calls, serving my clients, like all of those types of things. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like, okay, you need to shut off your brain and like recover so you can be like yourself tomorrow. And so what ends up happening is if I am too filled to the brim with like stuff to do, I don't have any time to like let my brain think or come up with new stuff. And without me thinking or coming up with new stuff, I'm not being the person that I actually really need to be for
Hmm.
anybody, for my
Yeah.
employees, for the businesses, for all of that stuff. So
Yeah.
I have to have a certain amount of time where I'm listening to stuff or reading stuff, because it's fun to me, and it also just helps me show up in a creative manner where I'm my happiest. Like if I am
Yeah.
just always in box checking mode, I'm not my happiest, because I'm not getting to like do new and novel things or think about novel ideas and like bring them to the table, which is a lot of what I really enjoy.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. The one extreme of like immersing yourself in like motivation and self help and all that, I think is great. And then there's the extreme of, like you said, just checking the boxes, doing what you have to do, and getting in the routine. But I feel like there's like that happy middle ground of like doing both where you can like still learn, still be motivated, but also, do what you got to do. I feel like I'm best when I'm in the middle ground as well because I like learning. I like
Hmm.
hearing about new things. Like, you know me, I'm a avid note taker. Like, I love to have all this information at my hands. But yeah, I mean, there's got to be like a good combination. Like what she did, reading like constantly, never stopping. That's great. But like reading and doing, learning and doing is, I feel like, the best combination that you can do or have.
Definitely. Definitely. What other things are you doing to kind of try and like elevate yourself outside of like the books, the podcast? Um, is it any type of like conversation or
What do you mean conversation?
like like the ways that you kind of elevate yourself is like learning on your own, and then there's also like learning around or from or with other people. So, what about like your environment as far as like people you're surrounding yourself with?
I feel like I learn. I guess my two people that I learn a lot from are going to be like you and Jermaine. Like you two are the one. Like I learn a lot of like business and like behind the scenes. I feel like from you, I learned a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of that from him. But I also like he has a lot of knowledge in the fitness industry and with coaching and stuff. So I also kind of get to learn from him and see what he does. So I feel like you two are like my common people in my environment that I am constantly learning or like regurgitating information to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and then like whenever I do learn something that I feel like is valuable to me, to my business, to my clients, like I like to share that a lot with Jermaine because he probably thinks I talk his head off, but he's the person who I like see the most. So I'm like, guess what? Like I learned this. This is really cool. Like obviously I'm a female. Like I care about a lot of the things I learn about, but then I also kind of put it into practice for him and I too.
Yeah.
Um, so I feel like that is one way, or like my environment that I kind of feel myself like going to or learning from a lot, which is YouTube primarily, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. YouTube's a huge resource that I don't think a lot of people. It's something that I want to start to put out more like 3 4. I always think of YouTube's got to be like 20 30 minutes plus, but it's really like you could put out 3 4 5 minute stuff, and um it can just be like longer versions of the things that are doing well or that you enjoy talking about on other platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I have to remind myself of and want to start to do more of, is just like sitting down stuff that's educational, that is important to me, that I enjoy talking about, that is not like going to be crazy highly edited or insane captions and cuts and all that. It's like just sit down and just provide value to the camera, and as long as it is valuable, like, people will like it, people will want to share it, people will want to be a part of it. So that's something that I'm trying to do a lot more of too, and trying to get more into.
Mm-hmm.
So
Definitely doesn't have to be a
definitely gonna have
cinematic
to
production.
do what.
I said it doesn't have to be a cinematic production.
No, definitely doesn't. So I need a little bit of help on the content side. We had editors for a while. I had an editor, and he's like in the middle of moving right now. Um, and I felt great for like a few days but like he kind of like started, and then he like now is moving, and so it was like I got 5 or 6 videos, and so I was like really consistent again and feeling good and feeling creative, because the thing that gets into my way is like I can find the hour in my day or in every other day to create and like batch a few things. But what I forget also has to be there is like the hour to clip things up, to edit them, to clean up the audio, to change the color, to add the captions on it, to actually write the caption for social media,
Mm-hmm.
export everything, and actually go in 20 or 30 minutes during the day whenever I'm going to post it and go press post. Like
Yeah.
that, those are the things that I can't find in my day, or at least I shouldn't say can't find. Don't end up finding is like being able to do all of that stuff. So um, having somebody to edit is going to be huge for me in
Mm.
order to just like keep content flowing. And just remembering too, like on TikTok especially, just pick up my phone and talk to the camera every once in a while.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
doesn't have to
Keep it
be,
simple.
yeah.
Yeah.
So all things that I'm kind of trying to work on and do. But no, I'm super proud of you, and I've been seeing all of those transitions and all of that, and your evolution as an entrepreneur and in personal development and all those things. So it's been super cool to see.
Yeah, it's been fun. I'm a few years behind you, but catching up.
Yeah, absolutely. You're also a few years behind me in age, so that's to be
Yeah.
expected.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I have anything else for this particular episode, unless you have something else.
No, I don't think so. I think that was pretty much it. Just life updates, client wins, all that good stuff.
Yeah, awesome. Well, guys, we appreciate you guys tuning in to this episode of the Bamcast. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe. and don't miss any more episodes of Addie coming in or any of our other guests and all the stuff that we kind of have slated. If you're or listening on any type of audio platform, make sure that you follow the show and leave a review. I know that helps it get to more people. Not running any ads, not doing any type of like paid promotion on it. So it helps out to just share the show with people or leave reviews or comments. That all helps out a ton. So
Yeah.
Addie, appreciate you being on here and taking the time. Know you're a busy girl prepping people for competitions and just dominating the social media space. So I appreciate you coming on.
Whatever. You're busier than me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I might look busier, but it's just all
70
fluff pretty
calls a
much.
week.
Yeah, it's just fluff pretty much.
Yeah.
But no, I appreciate you and looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, you too.
All right, see you guys next time.